For most of my life, I believed I understood my own heart. I thought of it the way most people do, as a loyal muscle in my chest that asked very little of me, beating quietly while I went about my days, never complaining, never needing much beyond the obvious. I did the things you were supposed to do. I tried to eat with some sense of restraint. I cut back on the salt when a doctor mentioned my numbers were creeping up. I told myself I would walk more. I bought the fish oil and the blood pressure monitor that I used for a week and then left in a drawer. I counted my steps for a while. I swapped butter for olive oil. I read the labels in the grocery store and felt a small, private pride when I put the bag of chips back on the shelf. I believed that taking care of my heart was a daytime project, a matter of choices made under the bright lights of the kitchen and the grocery store, choices made while I was awake and watching myself, choices I could point to and feel responsible about. And it never once occurred to me, not for a single moment in all those years, that the 8 hours I spent unconscious every night, the 8 hours when I thought I was doing nothing at all, when I thought I was simply switched off and harmless, might be the very hours that were quietly working against me. I want to tell you how I found this out, because I think there is a real chance it is happening to you too, right now, every night, and you have no idea. I am not a doctor. I am just someone who started paying attention to something that almost nobody pays attention to, and what I learned changed the way I lie down in my own bed. The position you fall asleep in is not a small thing. It is not a matter of comfort, the way we tend to think of it, a preference, like the side of the couch you like or the way you hold a pillow or which way you happen to face when you finally turn off the light. The position you sleep in is a physiological decision. It is a decision you make and remake thousands upon thousands of times across the length of a life, and your body, lying there in the dark, has no choice but to obey gravity for as long as you stay there. It cannot argue. It cannot adjust the way you would adjust a thermostat. It simply submits to the angle you have chosen and lives inside the consequences of it, breath after breath, beat after beat. Whatever you are doing to your heart while you sleep, you are doing it again and again and again, night after night, year after year, with a consistency that no daytime habit could ever match. That was the first thing that stopped me cold. I could skip a workout. I could have a good week of eating and a bad one. I could be disciplined on Monday and forgive myself on Friday. But the way I slept, I did that every single night without fail, with the unbroken regularity of a machine, and I had never once questioned it. 365 nights a year, decade after decade, in exactly the same posture I had drifted into by accident when I was young and never thought about again. It started, for me, with a feeling I had been ignoring for a long time. I would wake in the small hours of the morning with my heart pounding, racing for no reason I could name, as though I had just run up a flight of stairs in a dream I could not remember. I would lie there in the dark feeling it hammer against my ribs, counting the beats, waiting for it to settle, telling myself it was stress, telling myself it was the coffee, telling myself it was nothing, telling myself anything that would let me close my eyes again. There were nights I would wake up short of breath, a tightness across my chest that eased only when I sat up, when I lifted myself off the mattress and let something in my body shift back into place, as though I had been pressing on a valve without knowing it and had finally let go. My blood pressure, the few times I bothered to check it, seemed stubborn, climbing when it should have been resting, higher in the morning than it had any right to be after a full night of what was supposed to be rest. And underneath all of it there was the tiredness, a heavy, bone-deep tiredness that no amount of sleep seemed to cure. I could sleep 8 hours, 9 hours, and wake up feeling as though I had been working all night, as though the night itself had cost me something instead of giving it back. I would drag myself through the morning, reaching for caffeine like a man reaching for a railing, wondering what was wrong with me, why rest did not feel like rest anymore, why I woke up already behind. For a long time I assumed the problem lived in my waking life. I assumed it was something I was eating, something I was failing to do, some discipline I lacked, some moral failing I could fix if only I tried a little harder. I blamed the late dinners. I blamed my job. I blamed my age, that easy excuse we all reach for, the idea that this is simply what getting older feels like and there is nothing to be done. But slowly, a different suspicion began to grow in me, quiet at first and then impossible to ignore. What if the problem was not only what I did while I was awake? What if the problem was the way I arranged my body when I surrendered to sleep, the position I collapsed into without thinking, the position I trusted blindly every single night, the one posture in my entire life I had never subjected to a single moment of doubt? What if I was waking up more tired than when I lay down? Because something was happening in those hours. Something my sleeping body was enduring while my mind was switched off and unaware. Some quiet struggle I was sleeping straight through. So I started to learn how the heart actually behaves when we lie down, and I want to walk you through it the way I wish someone had walked me through it, in plain words, slowly. The way you would explain something to someone you cared about, because once you understand it, you can never quite see your own bed the same way again. The heart is not some isolated thing suspended in empty space inside you. It is not floating freely, sealed off and protected from everything around it. Your heart sits nestled inside your chest, tucked between your two lungs, resting just above the dome of your diaphragm, with the great vessels rising out of the top of it like the trunk of a tree, and the whole weight of your upper body pressing in around it. It is held in place loosely, surrounded by tissue and fluid, and the soft, shifting bulk of the organs nearest it. And here is the part that almost nobody stops to consider. When you stand up, gravity pulls everything downward, away from the heart, and the heart has room to do its work. Your lungs hang below it, your belly settles down toward your hips, and the column of your body gives the heart a clear, easy space. But when you lie down, everything changes. The whole architecture of your insides reorganizes itself. The organs shift and slide toward your back and toward your chest. The blood that pooled in your legs all day, held down by gravity while you stood and walked and sat, suddenly comes flooding back toward your chest the moment you go horizontal. The weight of your lungs, the pressure of your stomach, the position of your spine and your neck, the slack in the soft tissues of your throat, all of it now bears on the heart and on the airways that feed it, in ways that depend entirely, completely on how you have chosen to lie. That is the thing I never grasped, the thing that had been hiding in plain sight my entire life. The position is not neutral. There is no such thing as simply lying down. Certain positions compress the heart, pressing the surrounding weight against it. Certain positions shift it, crowd it, push it out of the easy place it wants to rest in and force it to beat at an angle it was never meant to hold for hours. Certain positions narrow the airway at the back of your throat so that every breath you take in the night is a small struggle you are not even awake to feel, a faint fight for air repeated thousands of times before morning. Certain positions make it harder for the blood to flow back to the heart through the great veins, so the heart has to pull harder to fill itself, working overtime in the very hours it was supposed to be coasting. Certain positions worsen snoring, turning a quiet sleeper into a loud one, and deepen those terrifying little pauses in breathing where the body forgets for a moment to draw air at all, where the chest goes still and the silence stretches a beat too long. And certain positions push your blood pressure up in the very hours of the night when it is supposed to be falling, when your whole system is meant to be powering down, dipping, recovering, repairing itself for the day ahead. There is a word for that nighttime dip that healthy bodies are supposed to have, a natural lowering of pressure during sleep, and certain positions rob you of it. I had spent years trying to lower my blood pressure during the day, measuring it, worrying over it, never knowing that I might be raising it every single night in my sleep with nothing more than the innocent angle of my own resting body. And once I understood that, I could finally see myself clearly. If you fall asleep one way and wake up more exhausted than when you lay down, if your heart races in the dark for no reason you can name, if you sit up gasping for a fuller breath in the middle of the night, if your mornings feel like a debt you can never quite pay back no matter how early you went to bed, then you, like me, may be about to understand exactly why. Because the answer is not mysterious. It is not hidden in some test you have not taken or some specialist you have not seen. It is lying right there underneath you, beneath your own body, every night of your life. It is the position. And it is exactly because of this that I want to pause for a moment and tell you something. The way I would tell a friend who I could see was finally ready to hear it. The way I would lean across a table and lower my voice because it mattered. I put together, in the first link here in the description, a complete guide on how to improve your blood pressure and build a healthier heart. For those who, like me, want to go further and truly understand how to care for the heart every single day, including while they sleep. It is everything I wish I had been handed at the very beginning, gathered in one place so you do not have to stumble through it the slow, exhausting way I did. If that speaks to you, take a look at it the moment you finish watching. It is the natural next step for everything I am about to tell you, and I would not point you toward it if I did not believe, honestly and from my own experience, that it mattered. Now let me give you the turn, the thing I learned, with every name spelled out plainly so that you know exactly what is happening and exactly what to do about it, with no confusion and nothing left vague. There is a position that is, by most accounts, the single most dangerous one for the heart, and it is the one that may surprise you the least once you hear the reasoning laid out. It is sleeping face down on your stomach, what is called the prone position. I understand the appeal of it completely. There is something that feels safe and burrowing about lying face down, pressing yourself into the mattress, hiding your face from the world, curling into the bed as though it could shield you. Many of us slept this way as children and never grew out of it. But think about what it actually does to you, hour after hour. When you lie on your stomach, you crush your own chest against the mattress with the full weight of your torso. The rib cage, which needs to rise and fall freely with every breath, cannot expand the way it must, because it is pinned between your spine and the bed. The lungs cannot fully open. Every breath becomes shallower and more labored, because your own body weight is fighting the natural rise of your chest, and your diaphragm has to push against everything stacked on top of it. And it does not stop there. To breathe at all in that position, to get your nose and mouth free of the pillow, you have to turn your head sharply to one side and hold it there, hour after hour, twisting your neck at an angle no one would tolerate while awake, compressing the vessels and nerves that run through it, kinking the very pipes that carry blood to and from your brain. The heart, robbed of easy breathing and clean circulation, with its chest pinned and its airways narrowed, is forced to pump against resistance the entire night, never getting the open, effortless rhythm it is begging for. It is the position that gives your heart the least room and the most work, the worst possible bargain, and I had no idea all those years that on the nights I slept that way, I was asking my heart to labor through the darkness like a man pushing a stalled car uphill. But do not make the mistake I almost made, which was to assume that flipping onto my back was the simple, safe, obvious answer. Sleeping on your back, what is called the supine position, looks innocent. It looks like the responsible, sensible, grown-up way to sleep, the way you picture someone resting peacefully in a painting, hands folded, face to the ceiling, perfectly composed. And for some people, with the right bodies and the right airways, it is genuinely fine. But it is treacherous in a way that hides itself, that disguises its danger as serenity, especially for anyone who snores, anyone who has sleep apnea, anyone with high blood pressure, anyone carrying extra weight around the neck and middle, which is to say, an enormous number of us, a number that includes a great many people who have no idea they belong on that list and have never been told. When you lie flat on your back, the muscles of your throat relax along with the rest of you, and the tongue and the soft tissues at the back of your mouth slide backward under their own weight, pulled down by the very gravity that should be resting you. They begin to crowd the airway from behind. The passage that air must travel through narrows, sometimes to a slit. You snore, that rough sound being nothing more than tissue vibrating in a passage that has grown too tight. You struggle, and in the worst moments the airway collapses enough that breathing pauses entirely, just for seconds, the air cut off until your body, starved and alarmed, jolts itself half awake enough to gasp the air back in. And every one of those episodes, every single one, sends a spike of pressure surging through you, floods your system with stress signals, jolts the heart, and drags it out of the deep, slow, restorative rhythm it is supposed to find at night. This can happen dozens of times an hour. It can happen hundreds of times before dawn. And you may never remember a single one of these moments in the morning, not one, because you never fully woke for any of them. You will only feel the cost of them, the racing heart, the exhaustion that sleep will not touch, the pressure that will not come down no matter what you do during the day. And then there is the question of which side, because if face down is dangerous and flat on your back is treacherous, then the answer must surely be to sleep on your side. And it is. But even here the position matters more than you would ever think, and the two sides are not the same. They are not interchangeable. They do not do the same thing to the heart at all. Sleeping on your left side, the left lateral position, is the one most often singled out as the one that presses on and shifts the heart in people whose hearts are already sensitive or already struggling. Remember where the heart sits, slightly toward the left of the center of your chest, leaning that way. So when you lie down on your left side, the heart settles against the left wall of the chest, and the weight and the geometry of everything around it, the lungs, the other organs, all of it can crowd the heart, can press on it, can tug at it and pull it from its mooring, can make those palpitations and that uncomfortable awareness of your own heartbeat noticeably worse in the night. I have heard so many people describe the exact same thing, lying down on their left side and suddenly feeling their heart thudding loudly, insistently against the mattress, a heavy drumming they could feel through the bed itself, an awareness of their own pulse so strong they could not ignore it or fall asleep through it. That is not your imagination. That is not anxiety inventing a problem. That is the position itself making its presence felt, the body reporting honestly on the strain it has been placed under. And here at last is the other side of the story, the part that finally gives you somewhere to go, the part that turns all of this worry into something useful. Sleeping on your right side, the right lateral position, is the one described again and again by account after account as the position that gives the heart the most relief, the most mercy. On your right side, the heart is given room. It hangs slightly forward, away from the crowding, into open space. The return of blood toward the heart through the great vein that runs up the right side of your body is favored rather than fought, helped along rather than pinched off. The rhythm tends to steady and calm. The pressure on the heart eases. The chest can rise and fall freely. For so many people who struggle and toss and wake in every other position, lying on the right side is the one where the chest finally feels open, where the breath comes easier and deeper, where the pounding quiets, where the heart seems to finally settle into the night the way it was always supposed to. And so the practical answer, the whole gesture that can begin to change everything, is so much simpler than all the fear and confusion that led you here. Make the right side your main sleeping position, the one you deliberately choose as you lie down, the one you guide yourself back to when you stir in the night. And then add one more small thing. Raise the head of your bed just slightly. A gentle incline, a wedge pillow built for exactly this, or a couple of inches of something solid under the two legs at the head of the frame, or a proper supportive pillow arrangement that lifts your whole upper body and not merely your skull, because lifting just your head and bending your neck forward only creates a new problem. That small, steady elevation lets gravity finally work in your favor instead of against you. It keeps the airway more open by letting the soft tissues fall forward and down rather than back into your throat. It eases the rush and flooding of blood and pressure back toward a chest that would otherwise be lying dead flat. It takes the very same force, gravity, that was quietly working against your heart all those nights, and quietly turns it into something that helps you, that lifts a small weight off the heart for every hour you sleep. That is the whole answer, given to you plainly and completely, nothing held back, not face down, careful and aware on your back, gentle and steady on the right side, head and chest slightly raised. It is the kind of thing that costs you nothing, not a single dollar, not a prescription, not a single drop of willpower, and asks for no struggle and can be done the very next time you lie down tonight. And when I first truly understood it, when it finally clicked into place, I lay awake that night almost angry. Angry that something so simple, something so cheap, something I had been getting wrong by pure accident every single night of my entire adult life, had never once been explained to me by anyone, never mentioned, never offered, when it might have spared me years of those exhausting, defeated mornings. But I want to be honest with you, completely honest, because I owe you that, and because anything less would be a kind of lie. Knowing the right position is only the first step. It is the doorway, not the whole house. The heart does not respond to one single thing in isolation, no matter how important that thing is. It responds to the whole shape of your days, to what you eat and what you drink, to how much you move and how you breathe, to the salt on your plate and the water in your glass, to the pressure you carry through the day, and whether you ever truly set it down, to the weight you hold and the sleep you keep, and the quiet accumulation of 1,000 small choices that the position of your sleep sits inside of, not above. The way you lie down at night is the beginning of caring for your heart, the first and easiest move, but it is not the end of it. And so, if you want to turn this night of sleep into a true ally of your heart instead of a hidden enemy, if you want to give your heart not just one good thing, but the whole set of them, remember that the guide in that first link in the description gathers together everything I learned about how to improve your blood pressure and build a healthier, stronger heart day and night in one steady, simple place. It is the perfect complement to what you have just learned here. The daytime half of a story whose nighttime half you now finally fully understand, and it is waiting for you right there in the first link, the very moment you are ready for it. I think back now to the version of myself who lay awake with his heart pounding in the dark, certain that he was doing everything right, certain that the exhaustion was just the unavoidable cost of getting older, certain that there was simply nothing more to understand and nothing more to be done. I think about how many nights I spent crushing my own chest into the mattress, fighting for shallow breaths without knowing it, or lying flat while my throat quietly collapsed and my pressure spiked again and again in the dark, or pressing the whole weight of my body onto a heart that only wanted a little room to rest. And I think about how close I came to never knowing, how easily I could have gone the entire rest of my life blaming my coffee, blaming my stress, blaming my age, blaming everything except the one thing that was happening right underneath me, faithfully, every single night, in the hours I trusted the most and questioned the least. So here is what I want you to carry away from this. The single thing the whole story comes down to. Starting tonight, right now, you know something that most people will live their entire lives and never stop to learn. You know that you may have been sleeping all this time, all these years, in the most dangerous possible position for your heart, and that knowing it, simply knowing it, is the first moment you have ever truly had the power to change it. The fear of that idea is not meant to keep you up at night or frighten you. It is meant to be turned right now, gently and immediately, into awareness, and the awareness turned tonight into a single small action. You do not have to wait for anything. You do not have to overhaul your whole life or buy anything or fix everything at once. You only have to lie down differently the very next time you go to bed, onto your right side, with your head and chest raised just enough, with your ribs free, and your breath open, and your heart finally given the room it has been quietly asking you for all along. The same body that obeyed gravity against you for so many long years can begin, this very night, obeying it in your favor. I made this because I genuinely wish, with everything in me, that someone had made it for me years ago, before all those wasted, heavy, exhausting mornings, before all those nights I spent unknowingly working against the one heart I was given. If it spoke to you, if it made you see your own nights a little differently, if it gave you even one thing worth trying tonight, then do one more thing for me before you go. Subscribe to the channel and stay with me. There is so much more I want to share with you about the quiet, overlooked, almost invisible ways we can protect this one heart we are each given. The small changes that ask almost nothing of us and give back so much more than we expect. The story does not end here. It continues in everything we will look at together next, and I would be truly honored to have you with me for it. So subscribe, lie down differently tonight, and let this be the night your sleep finally starts working for your heart instead of against it.